Hello, Tele-Arena fans. I want to show you TA2 with the graphical user interface, and I also want to talk a little bit about the game and the differences between it and the original Tele-Arena. So let's just jump right in. This is the GUI, and you're looking at the North Plaza. If you're ever wondering what it looked like, I guess this is what it was supposed to look like. Pretty much everything you see here is just a button for a command in the game. You have attack, spellbook, inspect. You can look at the room you're in. You can see a list of exits, and you see these little black bars here designate which directions you can go. You can bring up your stats and keep those up. This 49 agility, obviously I drank a hyssop potion because that is not achievable. There's actually, as a side note, there's no sysop commands in this version, so I can't edit stats and set things to 49. Can't level myself up. I had to reroll these stats manually. Can't summon items or conjure items, etc. And that's a little bit annoying when you're trying to demo stuff or explore stuff, but I put the time in and explored the world. It's very small in this version. Anyway, I'll get to that. Other things on this menu are GUI. You have your eat, drink, use, equip, unequip, give, drop, exit the game. This shows which direction you're facing, and you can go up or down. Keeps track of your gold. You can see my inventory here: broadsword and chainmail, glowstone, potions, rations, more potions. There are various options you can toggle. Like for instance, there is one MIDI file that has music for the game, and it's a little obnoxious. And I can't imagine leaving that on for very long. There's also sound effects, and you'll hear some of those when I fight or if I get thirsty and have to drink or eat something. Auto combat, you can toggle that on or off. It's never really worked well in any version of TA that I played, so I'm just going to leave that off. You can see the hyssop wore off, and the stat screen isn't really a live update. So if I toggle that again, you'll see my actual agility. So the detail level here, it basically affects when you rotate and move around the rendering detail. So if I set it down to 2, it rotates a little bit faster, and if I set it to 3, it's almost instantaneous, and I think that's kind of disorienting. So I'm going to set it back to 1. I'm also going to turn this music off because that is obnoxious. Okay, other commands. You can suicide or reroll. Nothing fancy about the rerolling, it just updates the stats window there. You can throw. TA2 has stances. There's aggressive, neutral, and defensive. I really haven't looked much into it, but I assume that aggressive makes you hit harder and take more damage. Neutral would be neutral, and defensive would mean you would hit less hard and take less damage. At least those are my assumptions. I haven't run the numbers. Other commands have to do with gold and items on the ground. And really, you can do most of these things still from the command line. Get all. You can still look at people, or let me expand this here. You can still look at your stats the old-fashioned way. You can see that they don't use a fixed width font in this terminal window, so everything's kind of garbled. So yeah, you can still throw or reroll or whatever from down here if you don't like the buttons. The various lists you can view through the GUI. There's the experience chart, list of actions, spell glossary. You can see which players are in the game. And actually, I have a normal telnet connection over here. So there we go. Shows who's in the game. And here I could actually look at that. So the one thing that's kind of weird, if I type look from down here, it just shows the text description. If I do inspect and click on the player icon, it shows their little thing there. So, okay, whatever. Other options, group commands, all the join, leave, follow, disband. I actually tried grouping previously, and it would crash the client, so I'm not going to do anything with that. You have your various class commands, so since I'm a rogue, I could try robbing, but since that's just level 1 character and I'm in town, I can't do it. And the various area commands that'll pop up, such as if I were to go to the equipment shop, you'll see the area thing popped up, and that brings up an inventory, and you can just buy stuff by clicking on it. Don't really need to buy anything here. In addition to being able to type stuff in, you can still type in the directions, and since I'm used to the game, I find that easier and less disorienting. But I don't know, I suppose if, back in 1997 when this came out, if someone was new to the game, this might have been easier to get your bearings. Since I have the map just in my head mentally, I think it's faster to just type it. So, that's pretty much all of the menu stuff. I can't show you the spell book, but it's nothing fancy. If you're a spellcaster, next to your hit point or vitality bar here, you would see your mana. It's about the only difference. I can go around to various places in town. I can go back to the tavern, which is super exciting. And I can look at the barkeep or the barmaid. It looks like that, I guess. She does not like me. Various area commands. You can buy a drink or a meal. I could play the slots. And I don't quite understand, because sometimes it will play the slots down here in the terminal window, and sometimes it brings up this other graphical thing. It's really weird. I don't know why it just randomly does that. Oh, and for example, I just rolled the dice. Sometimes it rolls it down here, sometimes it actually brings up a separate window. So it's a little buggy. Other things, the private room, just you and the plants. Let's see, nothing really exciting about the temple. Or the guild hall looks pretty much the same. You can buy training, a promotion. You can see various spells. The docks. I guess this is a good time to bring up the difference between TA2's world and the normal world. There is no... the docks don't really exist, and comically there's no water anywhere. You can't buy passage to the second town because there's no second town. The actual world is really small, and I guess I can bring up... This is my website, and tele-arena.tumblr.com, and I'm working on this. I haven't finished it, so if you look at it by the time I post this video, it's going to be a little different. But if you put TA2 on the end, I have mapped out pretty much everywhere you can go in the world, starting from the town. And it's not much. That's it. That is the world of Tele-Arena II. So, yeah, it's unfinished. And if you enter the game expecting it to be like the regular TA, or first TA, you're not going to get that. Other things, the arena. I can demonstrate the sound effects now. Demonstrate combat, which I'm a little bit high level for the first arena, or technically the only arena. Super exciting, I know. That's pretty much it. There is no dungeon, like there's no town 2. Can't go down from the arena. I can show you the weapon and armor shops and stuff real quick. All the various items you can buy. The armor. The magic items. Heartstone, Wand of Lightning, Hornfrost. Personally, I never pictured the glowstone as being blue, but okay. I also didn't picture the Rue Potion being neon green. Oh well. The vaults. You have area commands here, but I've had it crash when using those too, so I'm not going to do it. There's not a whole lot to the vaults here. And yeah, that's the town, and I guess over in this side window here you can see, you know, the client just interacts with the normal game. Just a layer of graphics on top of everything. Other things about Tele-Arena II. Like I showed you earlier, the stat screen is different. Rather than being like a longer, taller view, it's compressed probably so it will fit in this window here. The help files are a little bit different. Not that that's really exciting. You can see that they've taken away the borders and the table look and just made it easier to read here. Let's see, I mentioned the stances, I mentioned basically only having 2 areas in the game. From the North Plaza, there's this spar option, and it takes you to the Coliseum. I'm not sure, I haven't tried this, but if you get 2 players in here, I believe I can just attack. And you don't lose experience or items. It just takes you back to the temple. You can see I didn't lose any gold. So I guess it was a way of allowing characters to fight each other and not lose everything. Oops. One of the annoying things about this terminal window is if you click anywhere in here, it will resize. Let's see, this character is hungry, so I need to eat. You can hear the immersive sound effects. Feel like you're in the game. To get out of that Coliseum, you just type spar again. Yeah, so why don't I wander around a little bit more outside of town and try not to get lost. I'm going to navigate using these arrows. I think it's easier just to look at a map and type in the directions, but kind of defeats the purpose here. So I actually want to go southeast. I'll go into the cave area. Honestly, I think playing the game would be just easier the old school way. While I'm being silent, I'll put some music on. One obnoxious thing, and I don't know if this is because I'm using this cracked copy of Tele-Arena II or what, but I can only like go 2 rooms without it telling me that I need to, or I'll have to rest before I can move. And at first I thought this might be this high-speed macro delay option in the game setup, but that's the old annoying "you must wait a moment before proceeding" message. So I don't know if this is like Sean Farrell basically trolling people for using a cracked copy. I would find that hilarious, actually. Or if I just have a bad DLL or something. But yeah, it's oops, I might have dropped something there. Nope. But yeah, it's tedious. So I can go down to the 2nd level here. Scenery change. Oh. One of the other things about this tiny world is that the strongest monster in the game is a Stygian dragon. Oh, where am I? So you're not going to get very high level. Unfortunately. So yeah, there's this area that's kind of similar monsters to the original dungeon in TA1. And there's also this kind of orc area. I don't know if it's like an orc village or what. But it has this stone keep eventually, and there's an orc warlord in there that has a key, a bronze key, that opens the door to a dead end. And these caves down here, they eventually lead to the Stygian dragon, which drops an electrum key, which unlocks a door to the north of it, but it doesn't. When you go north, there's no trap like the original, and it's a dead end, and you don't get a rune or anything. So there's really not a whole lot to do in TA2. Holy cow. These things are kicking my ass. All right. So down to the third level. If I can kill this dude. And it looks slightly different. Anyway, I imagine this is getting a little boring. Why don't I show you just a couple more things? So these are all of the icons that are in the game. This is like everything you could expect to see. All the items, and I hadn't noticed that before. That's funny. That they took the time to make an icon for that. All the monsters, most of which aren't in the game. Various directions. Player character icons. There's that music file. There are other sound effects that you haven't heard, so I'll go through these. And then you have basically the other area textures that aren't used. All the shopkeepers down here. So that's that. I guess I can show you also how I am doing this. I have a Worldgroup 2 server running in DOSBox here that I'm connected to. And I'm using this Worldgroup Manager client. It's a 16-bit application. It won't run in a modern OS, a 64-bit OS. That's why I'm virtualizing it under Windows XP. It's compatible with Windows 3.1, 95, 98, probably 2000, though I haven't tried it. I got it to run Windows XP, but it's incredibly flaky. I had to use this application, what's it called? Application Compatibility Toolkit 3.0. You can't use newer version. Just to get this working, you had to apply these fixes to like 4 or 5 different executable files. So it was kind of a pain in the ass. If you're going to try this for yourself, I would say use a Windows 95 or 98 VM. The Worldgroup Manager just basically connects via Telnet. You can see here. And it just interacts with the BBS with this kind of interface. I had to add that in there and make the custom icon. Other things. Let's see. The Tele-Arena client's a little slow to load. It updates the art every time, even though there are no changes. If you want to play this yourself, it's going to be a little bit difficult. This is just a private thing I'm running just for demoing. There are only 2 BBSs that I know of that have Tele-Arena II. I try to keep a list on my website. And Onyx BBS doesn't allow you to connect with this Worldgroup client server interface with the Worldgroup Manager client. High Society BBS does, but Tele-Arena II is not an option to play on there. I suppose that Rick could enable it, but I haven't bugged him about it. So, I don't know. I just wanted to record this and get footage of it for the historical record. This is, 18 years old. I had once seen some screenshots of it, maybe on Wikipedia, before they started purging all the BBS related stuff because there weren't any sources for it. But I never seen it in person, until last week when I went through all the trouble of setting this up and getting it to work and finding the client and getting the right Worldgroup Manager client, finding missing data files for the game, etc., 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 etc. So unless you're really curious, I wouldn't recommend going through setting all this up. The interface is clunky, and personally I think it's disorienting. And the game is a lot more fun if you play the original with the normal world, and if you play it in text mode, it's just I think it's a lot better experience. So that's about all I wanted to show you. I hope you found this to be informative, and thanks for watching.